What if you found yourself in an unusual situation where you end up dating not one, but two girlfriends at the same time? This is Naoya Mukai, a high school student who has just started dating his childhood friend, Saki Saki. One day after school, Saki playfully warns Naoya not to cheat on her while she's away. In response, he hugs her tightly and promises to love her even more so she'll never have to worry, leaving Saki blushing in front of the entire class. Later that day, while Naoya is alone on the school rooftop, a shy girl named Nagisa Minase suddenly approaches him and confesses her feelings for him, leaving him shocked. When Nagisa asks what he thinks of her, Naoya tells her that she's extremely cute, and she admits that she has been working hard on her appearance and cooking skills to build her confidence. She even makes him a homemade meal because she believes it's the most effective way to win a man's heart. As he tries to eat her food, Naoya finds it delicious and tells her not to push herself too much. However, when she gathers her courage to ask him out again, Naoya explains that he already has a girlfriend. Although she already knows this is coming, Nagisa refuses to give up and promises to confess to him again someday. Just as she starts to walk away, Naoya quickly grabs her hand and admits that he doesn't want to lose her, even though he also doesn't want to betray Saki. So Naoya proposes that she become his second girlfriend. Seeing how serious he is, Nagisa agrees and decides to win Saki's approval as well. After Saki finishes her club activities, Naoya approaches her with an unusually serious expression, telling her he has something important to discuss about Nagisa. However, before he can explain everything, Saki is immediately charmed with Nagisa's cuteness. Without hesitation, she suggests they spend time together, saying it's better to talk after they get to know each other. So the three of them spend the day bonding, and Saki even gets to try Nagisa's cooking, which she finds so impressive that she jokes about dating her instead. Naoya then takes the opportunity to reveal his plan to date both Saki and Nagisa at the same time. Saki immediately stands up and punches him in the face, flatly rejecting the idea. She then asks Nagisa why she's okay with him dating two girls, and she explains that she knows Naoya will never break up with Saki, so this is her only chance to stay by his side. Although Saki is still against the idea, Naoya kneels and begs her to accept them both. After much hesitation and frustration, Saki finally agrees, marking the start of their unusual relationship. To help them get along better, Naoya suggests that all three of them live together in his house since he currently lives alone. Later that evening, Nagisa cooks a delicious dinner, while Saki feels out of place doing nothing. As the night goes on, Saki starts to feel more comfortable with their new arrangement. However, her thoughts are interrupted when Nagisa suddenly joins her, saying that she wants to talk. She reassures her that she won't interfere if Saki wants to sleep with Naoya, leaving Saki flustered as she quickly clarifies that nothing has happened between her and Naoya. With an encouraging smile, Nagisa tells her to give it her best effort, leaving Saki feeling awkward and unsure of what to expect. As they change into their pajamas, Saki starts to think that her rival is too perfect to compete with. Feeling annoyed, Saki asks if she's tired of Naoya's arrangement. However, Nagisa cheerfully responds that she doesn't mind if these threesomes make Naoya happy. This upsets Saki even more, as she starts to worry that she is losing ground to Nagisa, especially if her rival chooses to seduce Naoya instead. Later, they go to their bedroom, where Naoya sets up 3 futons in the same room, hoping they can bond by talking before sleeping. However, Saki quickly grows suspicious, accusing him of planning something inappropriate with Nagisa. Naoya assures her that he has no bad intentions, but Saki remains skeptical, saying she can't trust a man's word. When they finally settle into their futons, Saki pretends to be asleep while secretly keeping an eye on Naoya and Nagisa. Her suspicions grow as Nagisa moves into Naoya's futon to talk. Nagisa expresses her desire to get to know him better, and Naoya responds with the same interest in learning more about her. Misunderstanding their interaction, a jealous Saki can't take it anymore and abruptly pulls aside their blanket, only to find them innocently holding hands. Embarrassed by her overreaction, she awkwardly joins Naoya in his futon, which Naoya assumes she must be very lonely. The next morning, Nagisa wakes up early to prepare breakfast while Saki and Naoya are still asleep. As she cooks, she thinks about how lucky she is to be living with them and sharing this unique relationship. However, she knows that this arrangement will not last forever, and when it does, she will most likely be the one left behind. Refusing to let these thoughts hold her back, Nagisa decides to focus on making her time with them meaningful. Hoping to understand them better, she decides to look at their phones to find out more about them. Starting with Saki's phone, she finds an embarrassing search history for first-time experiences. Before she can explore further, Naoya suddenly wakes up and catches her by surprise. Soon after, Saki wakes up as well and sees Nagisa holding her phone. Thinking quickly, Naoya steps in and takes the blame, saying he was the one looking through her phone. Feeling embarrassed, Saki reacts by punching Naoya before heading back to bed. During breakfast, Nagisa admits that she recently forgot to attend school because she was so focused on improving her cooking skills for Naoya, leaving him and Saki in shock. Wanting to help, Naoya decides to spend the day tutoring her, but it quickly becomes clear that Nagisa struggles with math. So she excuses herself to the restroom to secretly look up the answers online. Feeling confident, she returns and begins writing down her solutions, only for Naoya to gently point out that they are all wrong. Feeling defeated, Nagisa rushes back to the restroom to try again. Before leaving for school, Saki reminds Naoya and Nagisa to keep their relationship a secret, which they both agree. However, once they arrive in class, Nagisa is left alone as other students begin to gossip about her. Unable to see her alone, Naoya tries to reveal their relationship to everyone, but Saki unleashes her inner pro wrestler and knocks him out with a move straight out of the ring. As the two argue on the school rooftop, Nagisa interrupts and reassures them that she's okay being alone. To avoid attracting more attention, she hands them a homemade lunch and encourages them to eat together while she quietly eats hers in the restroom. Her kindness deeply moves Naoya and Saki, making them realize just how much she's sacrificing for their happiness. So the three of them try to find a secret spot to eat together without drawing anyone's attention. Nagisa knows a quiet place that she used to go at school. However, it turns out to be an abandoned restroom, and Saki immediately complains about the awful smell, saying there's no way she can eat there. They decide to move to the back of the restroom, but Saki is still upset because they can now smell both the front and back of the restrooms. Nagisa then takes them to a cleaner restroom, but Saki refuses to eat there because it's still a restroom. Running out of options, Naoya suggests that they try to the gym storage room. When they arrive, they discover the door is locked, but Naoya, refusing to give up, tries to punch it open and ends up injuring his hand. With no other choice, they decide to climb through the back window. Once they are inside, the three of them sit down and enjoy their lunch in peace. Nagisa expresses her desire to do this more often, and Naoya promises both girls that he will make them equally happy no matter what. Nagisa is moved by his sincerity and offers to help him, even if it means finding ways to earn money for their future. Meanwhile, Saki starts to feel insecure as she realizes that Nagisa and Naoya have been doing all of the cooking and household chores while she has contributed very little. She begins to worry that Naoya will fall for Nagisa more than her. Back at home, Saki asks Naoya if there's anything she can do to help. Instead of giving her a task, Naoya offers to buy her some cakes, which she happily accepts. While eating the cake, she realizes she's not solving the real problem. She goes to the grocery store, planning to cook something that will beat Nagisa's meals. However, when she arrives home, she realizes she only bought a pack of gummies and completely forgot the cooking ingredients. So she decides to make curry using whatever she can find at home. Everything appears to be going according to plan at first, but while waiting for the curry to finish, she becomes distracted by some videos and forgets to turn off the stove, leaving the dish being burned. Feeling desperate to impress Naoya, Saki decides to take a different approach. She sneaks into Naoya's room late at night and tries to seduce him. But Naoya turns her down, saying he doesn't want to do anything like that. Hurt by his rejection, Saki becomes convinced that he prefers Nagisa's melons over her oranges. So she storms out of the house, leaving a note saying she's going back to her own home, which is conveniently right next door. Nagisa then wakes up and tells her that Saki left and returned to her house. While Nagisa secretly feels a bit happy about having more time with him, Naoya is determined to fix things with Saki and promises not to sleep until she forgives him. The next morning, Naoya calls out to Saki, who opens her window to see what he wants. Without hesitation, he begins throwing love letters at her. However, Saki is unimpressed and throws them back. Naoya doesn't give up and begins reading the letters aloud, but she still refuses to listen. Over the next few days, Naoya tries every possible way to apologize, but nothing seems to work. 3 days have passed, and Saki still hasn't come back. Nagisa notices Naoya hasn't slept in 3 days and asks him to take a break, assuring him that she can still make him happy even without Saki. But Naoya refuses, saying he won't give up on their relationship. Finally, Nagisa comes up with a clever plan, which she calls Saki outside and gets Naoya to grab her melons in front of Saki. Seeing this, Saki becomes jealous and immediately jumps over to their balcony, proving that her plan is successful. Naoya asks Saki why she left the house, and she admits that Nagisa is better in every way than her, which she only knows to eat and sleep. Saki then asks Naoya why he always does so much for them without asking for anything in return. Nagisa agrees with her, claiming that he's been overdoing it for their sake, and they can't stand it. Realizing his mistake, Naoya admits he's been selfish by trying to carry all the responsibility just to make them both happy. To make up for it, he tells them to hit him as punishment and Saki responds by hitting him, explaining that he says whatever he wants. Saki decides to return home, and the three of them return to their unusual but happy lives together. To celebrate Saki's return, Nagisa cooks a special dinner while Naoya finally gets some sleep after staying awake for 3 days. As they eat, Saki reminds Nagisa that they are still rivals, but Nagisa admits that she likes Saki and hopes they can become friends. Saki is moved by her confession and admits that she feels the same way. To kick off their new friendship, Saki invites Nagisa to play video games with her. When they start playing, it quickly becomes clear that Nagisa is a terrible gamer. She begins to worry that her poor performance will ruin Saki's fun, but Saki feels the opposite, as she feels happy to have finally found something she is good at, and she effortlessly carrying her team to victory. Meanwhile, Naoya wakes up and is overjoyed to see his girlfriends getting along so well. Determined to improve her skills, Nagisa starts watching tutorials from a popular pro gamer named Milika. While watching, Naoya notices that the girl in the video is wearing their school uniform. The next day, the trio sneaks into the gym storage room for lunch, but Saki forgets to lock the window. To their surprise, a girl named Rika Hashizaki climbs in through it. She looks at the three of them suspiciously, and Naoya panics and accidentally confesses that they're all in a relationship. Rika finds it hilarious and threatens to expose their secret. Naoya offers her all of his savings to keep her quiet, but Rika laughs and reveals that she earns far more from her streaming video. At that point, Nagisa realizes Rika is Milika, the pro gamer whose tutorials she has been following. Milika freezes as she realizes her secret has also been revealed. With everyone now holding a secret they don't want revealed, they agree to keep quiet about each other's lives. Naoya promises that even if she tells everyone about their relationship, they'll take her secret to the grave, which makes Milika realize how good they are. So Milika suddenly announces that she wants to join them as Naoya's third girlfriend, leaving everyone speechless. Nagisa starts to suspect that Milika wants Naoya as her boyfriend because she needs someone to protect her now that her identity as a professional gamer has been exposed, but she quickly denies it. She then tries to change the subject, saying that Naoya should be grateful for the opportunity to date her because she's perfect in every way. Naoya admits that she is attractive, but immediately rejects her because he already has 2 girlfriends. Milika, who's shocked by his response, refuses to back down. She claims to be cuter than Saki and Nagisa, but Naoya tells her that being cute isn't enough, because if it were, he'd already have a lot of girlfriends by now. Running out of options, Milika claims that her melons are bigger than Saki's and Nagisa's, hoping this will change his mind. However, Naoya remains unchanged, as he only likes Saki and Nagisa, leaving Milika to fall to the ground and unsure of what to do next. As the trio prepares to leave, Saki casually asks about Nagisa's dinner plans. Milika overhears their conversation and is surprised to learn that the three of them live together. Without hesitation, she declares that she'll be moving in too, but Naoya quickly shuts her down, making it clear that only those in a relationship with him can live together, and Milika runs away with tears. The next day after school, the trio is shocked to find Milika has set up a tent in their yard. She confidently announces her plan to camp there until Naoya falls in love with her. Naoya tries to warn her that she should go home because it will be cold at night, but Milika refuses to listen. As night falls, her tent becomes extremely cold, and creepy bugs start crawling around inside. Naoya asks her to return home, but Milika refuses to give up and decides to order some survival items to make it through the night. When she runs out of money, she takes off her jacket and starts filming workout videos to make money. She keeps herself warm by staying active, managing to survive the chilly night. The next morning, Milika is thrilled when her survival supplies arrive. However, Naoya tells her that she smells awful from all the exercise and suggests she go home and shower. Refusing to leave, Milika searches for some hacks online and manages to set up a makeshift shower in their yard. Her persistence amazes Naoya, even if her methods are unconventional. Later that night, Nagisa becomes worried that Milika's determination might actually win Naoya over. Saki refuses to let this happen and comes up with a brilliant idea. While Naoya is taking a bath, Saki and Nagisa suddenly appear in their swimsuits. When Naoya asks why they're dressed like that, Saki confidently explains that they're trying to make him happy and forget about Milika. Nagisa tries to approach him, but slips and falls right into him. So she quickly stands up and apologizes, but she'd be a little proud if this accident made him happy. Naoya then tells them to focus on finding a way to deal with Milika rather than doing something so ridiculous. Nagisa quickly clarifies that the entire idea was Saki's plan. However, she also admits that she feels Naoya hasn't been paying enough attention to them lately. Hearing this, Naoya realizes she has a point and starts looking at her more closely, causing Nagisa's face to turn red and call him a pervert. While Milika is busy barbecuing in the yard, Naoya confronts her once again, asking her to give up and leave because he can't handle dating 3 girls at the same time. However, Milika refuses to back down and threatens to throw hot coals at him. While thinking of ways to get rid of her, Naoya notices Milika heading to the public restroom and sees an opportunity to call a truck to take away all of her belongings. Before he can act, Saki and Nagisa quickly stop him, claiming that his plan is far too extreme. Naoya defends himself, admitting that if he were in their shoes, he would be worried about falling in love with Milika after seeing all of her efforts. Hearing this, Saki quickly returns his phone back and encourages him to carry out his plan, relieved that he admitted his feelings before they became a bigger issue. As Milika walks back home, she is shocked to find Saki and Nagisa packing her belongings. She rushes over to stop them, but Naoya grabs her and keeps her away from the truck. Milika immediately starts shouting, calling him a pervert and attracting the attention of their neighbors. Staying calm, Naoya responds that he is only interested in two-timing, much to Saki and Nagisa's embarrassment. Milika then tells him that her stuffs are expensive, but he promises to repay her if she agrees to leave him and his girlfriends alone. As they finish packing, Milika is still confused as to why a two-timing guy like him refuses to date her. Naoya admits that he can't choose between Saki and Nagisa because his priority is to make them both happy. Milika is deeply moved by his strong commitment, and she begins to see him in a different light. So she tears up their agreement and grabs his hand, declaring that she will not leave after all. Just then, Milika's father appears, enraged by her behavior in secret streaming channel. He grabs her phone, threatening to delete her account. Naoya quickly steps in, defending Milika and recognizing all of her efforts in building her channel. He even promises to protect her from now on, leaving Milika blushing. Moved by Naoya's support, Milika finally decides to return home to reflect on everything. Later that night, Saki and Nagisa remain uneasy, realizing that Milika's growing feelings for Naoya could cause even more trouble. Hoping to clear her head, Saki goes back home to pick up some clothes, but her mother grows curious and asks if she and Naoya have kissed or slept together yet. Feeling embarrassed, Saki quickly denies it. Her mother is confused, wondering why Naoya hasn't made a move, especially since he's living with such a cute girl like her. This makes Saki realize that how rational and determined Naoya is to treat both her and Nagisa equally. Back at Naoya's house, Saki surprises him by wearing a bunny costume and tries to seduce him. However, Naoya immediately distances himself, reminding her of his promise not to do anything inappropriate. Feeling frustrated, Saki pushes him down, trying to force him into action. When her costume slips, Naoya instinctively covers her chest, which makes Saki even more flustered, so she punches him and calls him a pervert. Despite her embarrassment, she secretly feels a little bit happy. The next morning, Nagisa notices Saki is in a good mood. When Nagisa asks why she seems so happy, Saki claims that nothing happened, and goes outside to get some fresh air. Later, while doing the laundry, Nagisa discovers Saki's bunny costume and immediately asks Naoya about it. Naoya reassures her that nothing happened, but he casually mentions how cute Saki looked in the outfit, which makes her jealous. Not long after, Nagisa appears in a maid costume and confidently offers to serve Naoya for the day. Naoya asks her to call him master, which she eagerly does, catching him off guard. As a reward for her effort, Nagisa shyly asks him to pat her head, and when he agrees, she feels happy about it. The next day at school, Milika stands outside Naoya's classroom, recalling how he defended her against her father. Although she's clearly falling for him, she refuses to admit it. Saki spots her and asks directly if she has a crush on Naoya. Although Milika denies it, her blushing face gives her away. Suddenly, Naoya steps out of the classroom, and Milika quickly asks to speak with him privately. On the rooftop, Naoya apologizes for his earlier actions and tells Milika that she's cute and attractive, which catches her off guard but secretly pleases her. She thanks him for saving her channel, admitting how much it means to her, and Naoya expresses his happiness at being able to help, making Milika blush even more before she runs off in embarrassment. Later, as she reflects on her emotions, she finally admits to herself that she loves Naoya, which is overheard by Saki. During a school break, Milika walks into Naoya's classroom, which immediately catching Saki's attention. Without hesitation, Saki confronts her, demanding she stay away from her boyfriend. Their argument quickly becomes the center of attention, and one of the classmates asks about Naoya's relationship with Milika. Taking the opportunity, Milika grabs Naoya's arm and playfully declares that they're in a serious relationship, which instantly makes Saki jealous. Saki grabs Milika's chest and demands that she leave them alone. She then insists that Naoya stay by her side at all times while at school. Misunderstanding her intentions, Naoya assumes she's feeling lonely and pulls her into a tight hug in front of everyone. This makes Saki flustered, while Milika, unable to hide her jealousy, runs away from them. Even when the teacher arrives to start the lesson, Naoya refuses to let go of Saki, explaining to the class that she needs his support. Later at home, Nagisa admits that seeing Naoya and Saki together made her feel a little jealous. Naoya offers to give her a hug, but Nagisa quickly declines, worried that Saki might get upset if she sees them. Saki surprisingly tells them that she's fine and even offers to leave so they can spend time together. But Naoya insists that Saki should stay and watch, explaining that he doesn't want her to feel left out. As Naoya moves to hug Nagisa, Saki finds herself unable to look away, feeling an unexpected excitement in the situation. Suddenly, Nagisa stumbles and falls, and when Naoya tries to help her up, Saki believes they are going to do something more and rushes into the room, accidentally knocking Naoya out. The next day, Milika follows Naoya and Saki back to his house, but Saki refuses to let her in. Once they're alone, Naoya unexpectedly asks if Milika has feelings for him, which surprises both Saki and Nagisa. Saki pulls Nagisa to the corner and warns her that if Naoya discovers Milika's true feelings, he might end up dating all three of them. Determined to prevent this, Saki suggests they should follow him as much as they can. Returning to Naoya, Saki confidently denies that Milika has any feelings for him, claiming that he's just a regular guy who got lucky with 2 girlfriends. However, Naoya isn't convinced and points out that Milika often blushes around him. Thinking quickly, Saki claims that Milika is simply in heat and flirts with any man she meets. Even though it sounds crazy, Naoya believes her, saying that it must be a strange phenomenon women can experience. The following day at school, Milika approaches Naoya in class and asks him to help her study. Still haunted by Saki's earlier words, Naoya abruptly stands up and apologizes to Milika for mistakenly thinking she had a crush on him. The entire class stares at Milika as she turns bright red with embarrassment. So she drags Naoya out of the classroom for a private talk. Milika takes Naoya to the school's rooftop, followed closely by Saki and Nagisa. Milika confronts Naoya and asks how he figured out that she likes him. Naoya apologizes and claims it was all a misunderstanding. Milika appears confused and asks why he apologizes, to which Naoya awkwardly tells her that he thought she was simply in heat and couldn't control herself. Milika becomes enraged and scolds Naoya, calling him an idiot for believing such nonsense. Naoya offers to help her find a boyfriend to relieve herself, but she declines it because she knows he believes she's in heat. When she asks him what he will do if she likes him, he says that he would have to turn her down because he doesn't want to disappoint Saki and Nagisa, who are already very important to him. Refusing to argue, Milika tells them to go back to class, while she thinks of a way to make Naoya fall in love with her. Back in class, Naoya and Saki finally feel relieved, thinking that Milika has given up. However, Milika suddenly bursts into the room and boldly declares that she likes Naoya. The entire class is left in shock, and Naoya, who's too stunned by her words, asks her to say it again. With her face turning red, she confidently repeats herself, leaving everyone speechless. She then grabs Naoya's hand and drags him out of the room, with Saki and Nagisa quickly chasing after them. They end up in the gym storage room, where Naoya asks Milika why she likes him so much. Milika explains that ever since he saved her from her father, she hasn't been able to stop thinking about him. Naoya tries to brush it off, insisting that anyone would have done the same thing. He offers to help her find a boyfriend again, but Milika refuses. She admits that no matter what she tries, she can't get him out of her head. Then, out of nowhere, Milika leans in and kisses Naoya, leaving Nagisa and Saki stunned. Before she walks away, Milika tells Naoya that he can have her if he ever decides to give up on his two-timing. Meanwhile, Saki's best friend, Shino, overhears their conversation and is shocked to learn that Saki is involved in two-timing. After school, Nagisa and Saki sit together, both looking down as the kiss weighs heavily on their minds. As Naoya's first girlfriend, Saki had always dreamed of being his first kiss, but Milika stole that moment from her. Nagisa, on the other hand, admits that she feels upset because she can only imagine what it would be like to kiss Naoya. Seeing how sad they are, Naoya awkwardly suggests kissing both of them right now to make things fair, but Saki immediately shuts him down, explaining that a kiss without feelings doesn't count as real. Nagisa agrees, adding that a kiss should be special and meaningful. Understanding their feelings, Naoya suggests they spend more quality time together and proposes going on a proper date, which they haven't had the chance to do yet. Saki is excited about the idea and insists on a hot spring date. The next day after class, Saki invites Naoya to go shopping for their upcoming trip. Just as they are about to leave, Shino calls Naoya and asks to speak with him later. Before Naoya can reply, Saki quickly grabs his hand and drags him away, determined to focus on their plans. While Saki, Naoya, and Nagisa are out shopping for their hot spring trip, Milika secretly follows them. Meanwhile, Nagisa starts thinking about how she might get her first kiss with Naoya during the trip. When she notices fresh breath mints, she quickly grabs them, only to see Saki reaching for the same thing. Saki then admits that Milika's kiss with Naoya has been bothering her. Seeing how upset Saki is, Nagisa decides to support her, reminding herself that Saki is Naoya's first girlfriend and deserves her chance first. The girls then visit a clothing store, where Nagisa picks out a simple outfit for herself, while Saki tries on a bold and sexy one, to which Saki claims that she has weird fashion sense. As they leave the store, Milika overhears their conversation about the hot spring trip and decides she won't miss the opportunity to join them. The next day, Naoya, Saki, and Nagisa head to Hakone. Naoya excitedly declares that they should enjoy everything they can't do back home. To prove his point, he confidently holds both Saki and Nagisa's hands at the same time, reassuring them that no one will recognize them here. When they arrive at the hotel, they are shocked to see Milika waiting for them. The situation becomes even more awkward when Shino appears and confronts Naoya, accusing him of two-timing Saki with Nagisa. Thinking quickly, Nagisa claims that she came with Milika and just happened to run into Naoya and Saki. Although Milika tries to protest, Nagisa quickly shows her a photo of herself as a streamer, leaving Milika no choice but to go along with the story. Once they're in their room, Nagisa sends Naoya a message, suggesting that he and Saki should go ahead with their plans, while she stays behind to keep an eye on Milika. However, Naoya refuses to leave her out, insisting that they should all spend time together. Later, while Milika and Nagisa are relaxing in the outdoor bath, Naoya sneaks onto the roof above them and calls out to Nagisa, asking her to join him and Saki. Nagisa declines, explaining that she's only wearing a towel and quickly runs away. Seizing the opportunity, Milika pulls Naoya into the bath and tries to seduce him. She eagerly asks Naoya how he feels about their first kiss, but Naoya admits that he didn't feel anything but surprise. Refusing to give up, Milika stops him as he tries to leave and invites him to stay so they can get to know each other better. Naoya initially refuses, but when Milika begs and promises to do anything he asks, he reluctantly agrees to give her 5 minutes. During their conversation, they start to open up to each other, and Milika realizes her feelings for him are growing even stronger. As soon as the 5 minutes are up, Naoya quickly rushes out to find Nagisa, but he accidentally stumbles into the lady's hot spring. He unexpectedly encounters Shino, who is about to take a bath. She takes the opportunity to confront Naoya, demanding to know if he's two-timing Saki with Nagisa. Naoya refuses to answer and tries to escape, but Shino grabs his pants to stop him, causing both of them to fall to the ground. At that moment, Saki and Nagisa enter the hot spring and are stunned to see Shino lying on top of Naoya. Saki accuses her best friend for trying to seduce her boyfriend, but Shino quickly explains that it was all just an accident. Meanwhile, Nagisa snaps a photo of the scene and uses it to warn Shino not to ask any more questions about their relationship, causing Shino to feel embarrassed and run away. Nagisa then steps aside to give Saki and Naoya some alone time, as she promised to support Saki during the trip. Naoya insists that Nagisa shouldn't leave, but suddenly the other girls arrive at the hot spring, and Saki quickly sends him away to avoid more chaos. Later, as Saki and Nagisa relax in the hot spring together, Nagisa recalls her childhood memories. She recalls how she always struggled to keep up with others, no matter how hard she worked. Even after putting in twice the effort, she still felt average and unsure of herself. But everything changed when she met Naoya at the summer entrance. For the first time, she felt like she had a true purpose in life. Nagisa recalls the moment she first saw Naoya confessing his love to Saki. Even though he was rejected, she discovered that Naoya had been confessing to Saki every single month since elementary school. She thought he was a bit crazy but couldn't help admiring his effort to win Saki's heart, which made her fall in love with him. Even though she knew Naoya only had eyes for Saki, Nagisa refused to give up. So she decided to spend the next few months working out, learning to cook, and doing everything she could to become his ideal girlfriend. Nagisa feels grateful that meeting Naoya changed her life and is happy that her dream of being in a relationship with him has come true. She promises to do everything she can to keep their relationship strong, even if it means holding back some of her feelings. Before leaving the bath, Nagisa asks Saki to keep her story a secret from Naoya, but he has already overheard it. When they step out of the bath, they find Naoya waiting for them. He immediately tells Nagisa that she doesn't need to hold back, revealing that he heard everything she said. Feeling embarrassed, Nagisa starts to run away. Meanwhile, Shino accidentally bumps into Milika, and they soon notice Naoya and Saki going after Nagisa, causing them to join the chase. As Naoya tries to catch up, Nagisa insists that she needs to stay second to Saki or their relationship will fall apart. Naoya strongly disagrees and scolds her for always putting her own happiness second. He tells her that she deserves to be treated as an equal and that she shouldn't have to hold back. His words make Nagisa realize that she doesn't want to always be second, but she also wants to be his number one. When Naoya finally catches up to her, he promises to treat both her and Saki as his number one. He reassures her that if their two-timing relationship ever becomes too difficult, he'll always be there to listen and work through it with them. Just as the other girls catch up, Shino demands to know the truth about their relationship. In a bold move, Nagisa kisses Naoya and openly admits that she's also dating him. Instead of being upset, Saki excitedly declares that they are now rivals for Naoya's top spot as his girlfriend. With everything out in the open, the trio runs off together, leaving Shino and Milika behind as they finally start to enjoy their vacation. Later, Shino invites them to her house, though she's still struggling to accept Naoya's two-timing. She asks Saki why she's okay with sharing her boyfriend, and Saki admits that it's hard to resist Nagisa's delicious cooking. Meanwhile, Naoya surprises everyone by announcing his intention to tell Saki's mother about their relationship, but Saki quickly cancels the plan. As the group heads out, Shino reflects on her own feelings. She starts to realize that she might be falling for Naoya, but she quickly reminds herself that he's her best friend's boyfriend. Determined to protect Saki, she decides to find a way to separate them for her sake. Will Naoya be able to keep both Saki and Nagisa happy, or will Milika and Shino's plans bring even more chaos to their already complicated relationship? That's a wrap. Thank you for watching.